Bonjour, good morning. We'll get started. First off, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Northwoods Grizzlies on going to state. They're leaving today, and wish them success and hope they win the tournament. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Here.
Here.
As always, we start with invocation before the meeting by our spiritual advisor, Mr. Gene Goodsky. Approval of the agenda.
I have one resolution that I have in front of you that Mark Anderson has set up that formalizes the division directors to recoup property or belongings or funds owed to the band.
Then we have to notify the MCT of our appellate court form, so Mark is gonna be emailing that here in a little while.
Okay.
Put those under other? Yes. Yep. And do you guys want to move the donations up to the first item on the agenda after the consent? That's all I had.
Any other additions to the agenda?
I had court project.
Okay. 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 Any other additions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda with those additions. Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Do the approval of the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the minutes, March 7, 2018. My mistake. Move to approve, made by Ray. Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Now introduction of the staff.
Okay. Introduction of new staff?
Welcome. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Oh, Rich.
Before we get started with the consent agenda, I just want to make a brief statement here. There's been rumors flying that we are losing our homelessness program. I want to reassure everybody that that's not the case. The MCT tribes have that program under White Earth as being the fiscal agent, so that program was never lost. It's just been under a different way of doing things, and each of the bands will get their monies for that. So I just wanted to quash that rumor that's going around. Next, we have the consent agenda, reinstatement of mileage between Nett Lake and Vermillion for RTG staff and committee volunteers, excluding senior management and council members effective March 12, 2018. Approve sole source request for beading supplies from Starman Check Beads, Boise, Idaho, amount of $5,929.84 for the Bois Forte Heritage Center and Culture Museum. This is where the Heritage Center will now be selling beads for our local beaders or anybody that's wanting to acquire beads. Approved $1,000 donation towards the cost of rooms, food, entrance fees for the Northwoods Grizzlies girls basketball team to attend the Girls State Basketball Tournament March 15 through 17. Approved FY 2018 Early Head Start Child Care Supplemental Grant Application in the amount of $149,918. Grant was due March 13, 2018. Approved sole source request from Housing for Pest Control Contractor Guardian Pest Solutions to remove a bed bug infestation in the amount of $3,600. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Thank you for clearing up the misinformation. And second.
Seconded by Brandon. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, Brandon.
Okay, first we have on the agenda, the request came in yesterday to the donation committee for the Northwoods basketball team, requesting $1,000 for their trip to the state tournament.
Leaving at 10:30.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I call for a motion to approve a $1,000 donation to help our Northwoods Grizzly boys basketball team to attend the state basketball tournament? Moved by Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brandon. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. First we have Billy Mason, Jennifer Jerome.
Morning.
Good morning. I have with me, her name is Jennifer Drewley. She's with the Northern St. Louis County Family Service Collaborative. I met Jennifer through the 2142 Parent Advisory Committee, formerly Luana Greensky was on the board, and she is retiring, so they needed to fill her spot. And Michelle Medsick had recommended Leanne, because Leanne serves on that committee, but after an orientation that Leanne and I went to with Jennifer and reading what they do, and I thought that Christine Lundemo would have been a better fit for this collaborative. She has more experience, working with early childhood, and could offer more as far as dialogue and input and bringing more back into the community. And so I made the recommendation to Jennifer, and she brought it to her, the board, and they did approve her, so I needed to get it approved by the tribal council for her. And I brought her with me in case you had further questions about what this collaborative does.
Mm-hmm. Could you just explain a little bit, Jennifer, please?
So the collaborative was created about 18, 20 years ago, and it's consisted of, we need at least one school district, corrections, public health and human services, and Head Start. And then we have some at-large members. So within our bylaws, we ask that we have at least one tribal representative on the board. And so that's why my request to Michelle, if she knew of anyone that would have interest in what brought me here today. And so we meet every 6 to 8 weeks, and we meet for about an hour and a half. So given the distance from, and we typically meet in Virginia, so I think that's partly, or the big reason why we haven't had too much representative from some tribal folks. And so, but now with ITV, I think that would be a great option for us to utilize. So that would be less time spent in the car and just being able to partake in the collaborative board meetings. It's kind of an informal group. The goal of it really is to see what's happening between agencies, and kind of sharing out what they're doing and if there's any way to kind of collaborate. So a lot of the members just enjoy the sharing time, like what's happening in the agency and what's going on in the community, and bringing that back to their colleagues.
You've discussed this with Christine?
Just to clarify, had we appointed Leanne previously? Oh, okay, so we don't have to rescind anything. She
No.
never really was formally appointed.
No, we just
then.
went down to kind of meet with Jennifer and
Okay.
see what it was all about.
Okay.
Jennifer, if you could bring this back to your board. I know that I'm looking on your bylaws, and I see that the Board of Directors, you have all the schools, and that like schools on there. And we also have St. Louis County Public Health and St. Louis County Human Services on there. Is there a chance, because I'm finding in dealing with some legislative issues and whatever, it would be nice to have, we have our own public health service here on the reservation. It would be nice to have a member of our Public Health and Human Services as a required director, along with St. Louis County, because we do similar things, but it's just for the on-reservation, just to get a more tribal perspective from that health and human services standpoint. Just if you could ask your board to possibly consider that.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
That would be a great idea, and I can bring that up with DHS as well, because it's within the
Okay.
kind of state statutes as far
Okay.
as the mandated partners. But I think that would be a great fit, and would like to take that to the board.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions or
Need to approve Christine?
Christine
I'll
Lundeman?
move to approve Christine as a member of the board.
Motion to approve Christine Lundemo to the Northern St. Louis County Family Service Collaborative Board, seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Rick or Holly couldn't be here today, so they emailed me and asked if I'd present the approval for the raffles to be conducted at Fortune Bay. First one is for the Associated Contract Loggers. They are gonna be doing their raffle at Fortune Bay on April 6th, 2018. They usually have a big logger conference meeting going on up there.
They've done this every year, correct? Corey?
Yes.
Motion to approve the resolution for the gambling permit associated contract loggers.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Second one is a request to hold a raffle at Fortune Bay by the, I'm guessing it's Northwest TF Tall Timber Toms. It's gonna be held on March 30th, 2018 in Fortune Bay. And they're gonna have another raffle there for their chapter.
Okay. Motion to approve the resolution gambling permit NWTF All Timber Toms.
Move.
Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Okay, next we have Barbara Dean with a successor and interest, residential leasehold and a recreation lease.
Good morning, Barb.
Good morning. Okay, this issue came up prior to my taking this position. It was brought forth by a couple of elders, namely Gary Donald and Bill Tibbetts, and it was brought to the council on October 5th of 2016. What they were asking is if there was some sort of protection for band members, spouses that were married to band members and who had lived on the reservation who had residential leases. And so at that time, the council had made or gave a directive for this to be looked into. And so when I got into this position, I think it was brought up again. And so I had originally drafted up a document, and then Mark drafted up another one. And so basically, this pertains to the residential leaseholders who are band members, and it basically is when a band member leasee dies, his or her surviving spouse or domestic partner or an adult child who is not a member may reside on the leased premises for the remainder of his or her life, provided that the person is residing on the leased premises at the time of the band member's death and has been designated as the successor in interest in the lease or the addendum of the lease. The other part is that the rent that is payable by the non-band member shall not be accelerated to an amount higher than the rent paid by the deceased band member. So basically, what we're doing here is making it easier for the surviving spouse that is not a band member to remain in the home until their death. And that the home is to remain their primary residence. A soft count right now is that we have 25 band members in this current situation that have band member spouses who are living on leased land as a primary residence. I didn't take a hard count at this time.
I know that, there were a couple instances where we had tribal members who had leases. One was at Indian Point and one was in Vermilion, where the spouse, who was a band member, passed away. And those lot amounts went, the lease cost went way up, and those individuals ended up having to move their families off the reservation because they could not afford it. And so I know that this has been an issue for quite a while with tribal members worried about what's going to happen to their home. And so that's why we pursued this, to finally get it on the table and hopefully get it resolved for those individuals. We hate to have our kids' families move away because of the band member passing away, and that may have been their only income at the time, and placing a financial hardship on them to the point where they have to move. Those are just a couple of my comments on this item.
Nice to see it get done.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's something that we've been discussing, I think, since I've been on the council, and it's took this long to come to this point, and I think it's we've got a satisfactory document here that finally addresses that issue. And so I know next in line is a form that is a modification to the lease all the band members will be contacted to have the opportunity to modify their lease to incorporate this. And then at the same time, I think we're working on the lease document itself, isn't it? So future lessees will already have this in the document.
Correct.
Will be made aware of it, so, yeah. So it's been a long process, but we got there, so thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If Now I'll call for a motion to approve the successors in interest to residential leaseholds.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brandon. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Good job.
Thank you.
Next, I have a residential lease for Dallas Delancik. It's on Cemetery Road over in Vermillion.
I'll move.
Move to approve by Ray, second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you,
Thank you.
Barb.
Next, we have Gordy Adams with the award bid for a purchase of a dump trailer.
Morning, Council,
Morning, Gordy.
and members of the audience. I bring before you today approval for a dump trailer, and I'll just kind of go over the memo that I wrote to you guys. Boysport Housing Division is in need of a dump trailer for many uses throughout the coming years. We have been renting dumpsters from the DNR and in the winter months from Udovich. The primary use for the purchase of this trailer is for the upcoming tax credit 2 inspections scheduled for the month of June 2018. Maintenance staff would be able to haul garbage and other debris from each unit as we go along, as this would be a great cost-effective measure and more efficient method of disposing unwanted materials and yard debris. I put out a request for bids, and it's attached here, on March 12, 2017, and emailed out the RFP to 7 companies that sell dump trailers advertised on the internet in Minnesota. I received 4 bids back, and the lowest bid came in at $7,039 from Pine River Sales in Cloquet, Minnesota. I have attached the top 3 bids as required. And again, I need approval from the Reservation Tribal Council to purchase this trailer for housing maintenance, as there is money in our budget to make this purchase. And you get a copy of the request for bids as required. I noticed though on the bid, it looks like it's going to be $20 cheaper, because on the bid from Pine River Sales, it has other state and local taxes at $20, and I don't know what that is. I'll get a clarification on that. So it might even be $20 less than that. The second bid came in pretty close at $7,069, so it was pretty close, pretty competitive bid. So, and it's something that another piece of equipment that I know that we need, and again, it's a cost-effective measure that it will eventually, pay for itself. So, but like I mentioned, it's going to be really needed for the tax credit 2 inspections that are coming up, as a lot of those units have a lot of yard debris, household debris, and stuff like that. That it just will be too cumbersome for DNR to be moving these dump trailers back and forth and everything like that. So it'll be a faster method for us, for our maintenance crew, to be using this dump trailer. In addition, when it's not being used, we will be able to lend it out to other departments also as well for their use as needed.
Gordy, I have a question.
Sure.
The tax credit 2 homes, which ones are those? I get confused.
There's 20 units, and they are both located here in Nett Lake and over at Vermillion. I believe there's 12 units here and 8 units over at Vermillion.
Okay.
We do have 1 unit, tax credit 2 unit that we are doing meth remediation on right now, and it's going to need other work there also as well. But it's going to take away from a lot of the other existing work orders, because there is some units that have been, I guess, neglected in the past few years or not, because every year they do get inspected. But what I've been finding out is that once they get inspected, they're issued out work orders, and what I'm finding out is that a lot of those work orders were never carried out. So, but this is going to be a very detailed inspection, because they're going to be doing actually all 20 units, and I'm not sure at this point in time, and neither is MHFA, who's going to be doing the inspections, as to whether or not one of the investors might be around also as well. So that's why I want, the yards taken care of, all the yard debris, all the junk cars in the yards. We're going to be scheduling a junk car guy to come pick up all these junk cars that are in these yards, plus to be taking care of all every issue that's inside each and every unit so that they're back up to what they were when they moved in. And that includes painting, or flooring, whatever needs to be done to these units needs to be done so that MHFA will be satisfied, and if the investor comes along with them, that he'll be totally satisfied in his investment.
Okay. When you well, you mentioned junk cars, so I'm gonna throw this out there. Can you, when you get someone to come up for the junk cars, can you, maybe could we do it reservation-wide for people that want to get rid of their cars? Because sometimes they will buy them for like 10 or 20 bucks just to get them out of their yards and crush them or whatever. Is that a possibility?
Oh, yes, absolutely, but because I'd hate to have them come back and everything like that, but I from my talks with them, they do purchase these vehicles for 75 bucks
Oh,
a
75.
vehicle, and I believe it's at $50 if they don't have motors.
Okay.
And so I'm going to post it reservation-wide,
Okay.
that if any other interested parties, private homeowners, for example, that if they want their, this opportunity to get rid of their junk cars, you know, there it is, so.
And Gordy, I know that the debris in the yards, I mean, we see them as we go by and drive by them every time. It's really important for the investors and MFHA to see that we are living up to our agreement with them with regards to these tax credit homes. And I know that in the past, before you got here, that there were homes that were actually cleaned out and they're now back to that condition again. You know, that's a homeowner's responsibility. And are these trailers going to be set up in their yards or in between yards for these people to do this, or is your maintenance crew going to do it?
Well, right now, if we depend on the homeowner to do it, it probably won't get done. So we're going to be letting the homeowner know that if our maintenance crew is going to be, we're going to leave the trailer in their yards, and if they don't do it, get rid of their yard waste or any other household waste, then if our maintenance crew has to do it, that they're going to be billed accordingly. And it has to
That's
start
the
being
next
that way.
question.
Homeowners, these people that are residing in the tax credit units are supposed to be acting like homeowners. As a result of that, I mean, I have to pay somebody as a homeowner to,
Yes.
you know, to do work and to do stuff like that in my own yard. So basically, that's the same premise, that they are going to they're going to start to be responsible for us coming in doing non-preventive maintenance on all of these units, not only just, and I mean by preventive maintenance, issues like holes in the wall, busted doors, things of that type of nature. These homeowners now, or excuse me, tax credit tenants need to be aware that they signed a lease, and that's what they signed it for, and that they're going to be responsible and billed accordingly for any damages or any excess preventive maintenance that we need to perform on these units.
So if you're, and these are just my questions. Sure. If your staff is going to be cleaning up, let's say, a garage full of garbage, and if that homeowner isn't going to do it, are you going to bill that tenant the wages that they're using on that unit for that?
Yes, that's correct, because it's going to be in a time in, time out, and also for the yard waste removal. They do charge by the ton, and some of them probably do have that amount of garbage in them, so that they're going to be billed accordingly, and they need to understand that. And those letters that were sent out to those tax credit units coming up with the inspections, in a second letter, that's going to be fully explained and highlighted to them that they're going to be responsible for it, including cutting grass, that we've got 2 riding motors that are going to be available to them, but it might be a liability issue if we allow them to use that. If they hurt themselves or hurt anything else, that we may have to have our own maintenance guys come and cut that grass. And if we need to do that, then again, they're going to be billed for that.
And then after this happens, once they get all cleaned up and we pass the inspections, then we'll be doing monthly or ongoing work with them to keep them that way?
Yeah. Normally, they've been like annual inspections or once a year, but now we're going to start doing biannual inspections also as well. And in addition to our inspection procedures, we're also going to be including preliminary meth usage tests on these units also as well, because we're running into that problem more and more, and it's beginning to be a big concern of mine also as well, so, and it's getting more and more prevalent on both sectors of the reservation.
And one more question, Jones, I'm sorry. But if you see a unit within that 6-month period of time, let's say it's 3 months, if you see that unit kind of collecting and yard being awful, will you make contact with that tenant at that time then? Tell them
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be sent reminders that according to their lease agreements, that they
Okay.
need to be kept up, and we'll highlight and send them a copy of that lease agreement where it actually says, you know, where they sign that the yards must be upkept, no junk cars, and that also includes excessive pets. I also want to bring that also as well and make the tenants aware that they're only allowed 1 pet. And when we seen 2, 3 dogs and cats inside, they're gonna have to get rid of them somehow. But they have to go because that's part of that lease agreement also as well. So we are gonna start enforcing that lease agreement to the T.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's all the questions I have. Any other questions? If not, I'll call for a motion to award the bid for the purchase of the trailer in a possible amount of $7,019. Right now it's at
Yes, yeah, minus the
$7,039.
$20, correct.
Once Jones checks out that, or Gordy checks out that tax issue to Pine River Sales. Moved by Travis, is there a second? Seconded by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried. Good job,
Thank you.
Jones,
Yeah,
thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Next, we have Doris with NIHCA Fitness Incentive Program. And Kristen.
Good morning, ladies.
This is an agreement from the National Indian Health Club Association, and it's a program, it's basically an incentive program to get people involved in the fitness centers. And there is a fee to it. There's a one-time fee paid to Blue Cross Blue Shield of $450, and then there's an annual fee for each fitness center of $399, and then some minimal fees such as a $7 monthly website charge, a $1 every time a new member enrolls on the program online, and 25 cents charge every time the company sends $20 to the member's bank account. And so what this program does is we would use their logo. They would advertise and recruit members to use the fitness center. They will reimburse each member $20 for every 8 times they use the fitness center.
Oh, that's nice.
So if a person, say I had a membership fee of $30 and I went to the fitness center 8 times, they would reimburse me $20. So basically it only cost me $10 for that monthly fee. So there is some money up front. I estimate that it would take 13.3 members to recoup the annual fee of $399. And the membership at Vermilion Wellness Center, I believe exceeds that per month. I don't think we have quite as many up here, but Christians could speak to that. But I think it's a good incentive program to get people involved. And it would be less costly to the person so that they would tend more to use the fitness center and get the membership fee.
Have the incentive to get somebody in the door and then hopefully there 8 times. That's a good idea. Doris, has Mark reviewed this agreement?
What's that?
Did you have Mark review this agreement?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
He did review it, and do you have something to say?
I talked to the lady yesterday, and I thought it was a good program, because like pretty much anybody with health coverage can look on the back of their card and call their number and ask for the website, and then they'll get the website, and then they can enter in, and our fitness facilities will show up on the computer, and they just enroll themselves. Yeah. And then like Boys Fort employees, Fortune Bay employees, and then everybody else that would want to use the fitness centers.
If some people like myself that aren't very techie, if we have, would you assist us with enrolling at the
Yep.
centers? Okay, wonderful.
That would be our responsibility, or the fitness center's
Okay,
responsibility to document and keep track
okay,
of how many times people use the fitness centers.
good.
Well, congratulations in finding this program, because this is also something we've been talking about for a long time, and you're finally getting it done, and that's great. One question, is this exclusive to Native participants then? Okay.
Anybody?
So, and, so you'll make all the members aware then?
Yeah.
Because I know Vermillion probably has a non-native
Yeah.
balance because of the area that we live in, so that would be good to encourage their continued business, and we'd get a little bit of revenue from it, so.
Yeah, we see a lot of members from the surrounding communities of Tower and people that work at Fortune Bay.
I'll call for a motion to approve the NIHCA Fitness Incentive Program.
Move.
Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Thank you.
Before you go, ladies, I was approached by an individual at the legislative dinner, and his wife and himself use the fitness center in Vermillion. And they are willing to help us get into what's called the silver sneakers, where Medicare pays for premiums or for those individuals over 65 to exercise. They'd be willing to help us enroll or get us into that program. Once I hear from them, I'll let you know.
I did talk with Mark Anderson about that, and I didn't bring his communication, but from what I recall, that program has a lot, it's more complicated. And I think I sent Corey a copy of Mark's response, but it's like there's even talk about giving up some of the sovereignty on
Oh,
on
really?
that, and
Okay.
So he wasn't recommending that
Okay.
program.
Yeah, because they had just mentioned it, that they would like to see that, for the fitness center, just to see if it would help it, so. But if it's got a sovereignty issue, then we don't.
Yeah, I'll forward you that.
Please,
his
thank you.
email, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Because I know we pursued that when Bernie O'Leary was working up there. And anyway, and I think it came back to too with that program actually, another issue came down to them qualifying our facility. And I think like some of the residents that use the Vermillion Center, the non-Indian people that came there, like the elderly people that do use the facility, they couldn't understand why our facility was not being qualified or by that program when there are facilities in Virginia that qualified, but they thought our facility was a better place to work out. So yeah, they didn't understand it either, but we've been talking about this for, trying to get that program implemented for years,
Well, it'd be nice to have our facilities qualified for these types of programs. Even I know, I think Jenna Letty was working on one in Vermillion, because the city of Tower has a fitness place that's certified, and I don't see why we can't get ours certified. Ours are exceptional. It's just,
The Tower one has this,
oh, good,
so.
good, perfect. Well, good job, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have Joel with the update on the IRR inventory.
Morning, Joel.
So before you is a resolution to update our inventory. If you look on the second page, mostly that was changed on the inventory update list, was the longitude and latitudes. And then on this, right below that, you see our inventory delete list. So you have 3 sections of Whiskey Point that are being deleted that were rolled over into section 10 once we finished the road. The golf course road, that's an old proposed road which can never be done. It goes right through the wetlands, and it was put on there years ago when we used to get funding based on how many roads we have. So.
Okay. Questions?
I'll move.
Move to approve the update changes in the IRR inventory made by Ray. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joel.
Kim has a PAC treasurer and a motion to open new bank accounts.
Good morning, Kim.
Morning. The PAC stands for the Political Action Committee, and that is for the reporting for the State Campaign Finance Board, because when you give contributions to state candidates, you have to report it all with the state. So Edith was the treasurer and did all the reporting, and since Sue Ronkanen has taken her place and is now doing the reporting, I would just like to appoint Sue as the treasurer. All she does is file the report, because you as the council and Reed LeBeau give us a list of who we send the checks to.
Okay, motion to approve Sue Ronkanen as the PAC treasurer.
Move.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second? Second by Ray. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Okay, the second item I had was a motion to open some new bank accounts, and this is for the Tax Credit 3 project as it nears completion. They have to have separate bank accounts. I believe I have 3 listed there. One is a reserve account, and we are getting money to fund up the first part of the reserve this week, so we need to open the bank account. And then the other 2 we don't need immediately until we start having tenants actually occupy it. One is the operations checking account, and the other one is the security deposit savings account. And that's standard for all the tax credit projects.
Where will these be opened at? It's the same banks we've been...
Yeah, American Bank.
American Bank.
Yeah. We can't use the credit union yet because they can't they're not allowed to have checking accounts yet.
Oh, that's right.
If they did, I would recommend using our own.
Motion to approve to open new bank accounts for the Tax Credit 3 project. Moved by Ray. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brandon. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks.
Next, we have a resolution that Mark had sent up for the division, giving the division directors authorities to bring action on behalf of the band. So we had Wickel look at previous minutes and so on, and we found that it was the executive director and CFO for amounts of $69.99 higher.
Okay.
And so this just formalizes the division directors. Do you want to read this? Do you want me just to read this?
Yes, please. You can just go ahead.
Starting with the second, whereas the lawful governing body of the band is the Bois Square Reservation Tribal Council, RTC, and its authority authorized by Article 6, Section 1I of the Constitution and delegate authority to officers, employees, and subordinate entities of the band. And whereas the Bois Square Tribal Governance Organization structure delegates authority to directors of several subject matter divisions of the tribal government, and each of the division directors have responsibility to recommend a budget for the programs within their division, to expend funds and account for funds and property managed by the division. And whereas it has been the practice of the division directors to take necessary action to recover funds or property from persons who hold funds or property without lawful authority, or who are otherwise indebted to the band program within the responsibility of the division director. And whereas to the extent that there is no written memorialization of the authority of the division directors, and to the extent that such action have been taken by them, the Reservation Tribal Council finds that it's in the interest of the band to formalize the delegation of the authority and ratify action taken by the division directors to recover funds or property belonging to the band. And now therefore it be resolved that as contemplated by the Bois Square Reservation Tribal Council, hereby confirms the authority of the division directors to recover by lawful means, including filing claims on behalf of the band in a court of a competent jurisdiction, funds owed to the band program over which the director exercises supervision, or property belonging to the band, whether real or personal, and be it further resolved, Bois Square Reservation Tribal Council hereby ratifies all action previously taken by division directors and the comptroller to recover sums owed to the band and its programs, to recover possession of rental properties of the band.
Okay. Any questions? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the resolution confirming the authority of division directors to recover by lawful means funds owed to the band or property. Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
I have not seen an email yet from Mark Anderson.
I've got it.
Okay.
This is regarding that by March 30th, we need to notify the MCT of appellate court forum. And the board, we need to advise the MCT of our choice in the event of an appeal from a decision of the election contest judge. It has to be done before March 30th, because that's the deadline on the election calendar. So at this time, we would like to suggest that we use the Minnesota Chippewa Tribes Tribal Court of Election Appeals. It does consist of one appellate judge from each of the reservations. So if you guys are okay with that, using the MCT Tribal Court of Election Appeals.
Need a motion?
Yes.
Move.
Moved by Ray. Use MCTs. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trav. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Okay, last we had on there was court project discussion.
Always eating.
I'd just like to say that when we first talked about this a few weeks ago, we were asked about what we wanted to do, and I was in favor of it, as long as it didn't hurt Fortune Bay or our band. We went through with it, and now Fortune Bay come up and question saying we don't have the 900,000 that was sitting. And I talked to Rick yesterday, and still don't have. I'd just like to go on record saying I like the project, I think we need it, but
I know that we've already gotten some of the wheels in process, and one of the reasons the money won't be needed till fall. And Fortune Bay's biggest season is during the summer. And so that's kind of why we delegated those funds towards fall time. We don't need them now. We're using our, we're using the Shakopee money, the grant that they gave us for 1.25 million. If we don't go with the court project, then we need to repay 1.25 million to Shakopee. And so that's why we kind of waited until fall time to give Fortune Bay the opportunity, because they do have capital improvements they have to do. I know the siding is one. I see it's budgeted in their capital improvement budget. But it's just that, you know, we understand that winter time is a slow time for them, which is now. And summertime is a really, is when they really do very well. Especially they've really come a long way. And so I have all the faith in the staff and the people over there that will have hopefully another good year. But that was one of the reasons why, but I appreciate your comment.
yeah.
Any other comments?
I just, you know, like I said before, I'm not against the work and anything else, and I'm just against the financing part of it, and you know, and everybody has the right to see it, you know, how they see it, and the way I look at it is we're counting on Fortune Bay for 2.6 million already, and then we just added 900,000. That's 3.5 million, and that they have to basically clear after their own operation expenses, and you know that what that I asked Rick to look back on all the years that we actually cleared. I mean cleared, not made, cleared after expenses, after everything. How many times we cleared 3.5 million, and I don't have that paperwork in front of me, but it was just a couple times in the last, 15 or so years. And, plus we, we still have to, figure out how we're going to finish out the year, how we're going to keep the employees from not worrying about going home. And I just see it as we're basically gambling. We're gambling, hoping Fortune Bay has a good year. And I would have just as soon, I know we never met with the Shakopee, but I think if they, in my opinion, in my hope, like I said, it's only an opinion, but my guess is that they wouldn't have punished us. I don't know how they could punish us, but they wouldn't have thought any different of us if we just told them we didn't have the 900,000 at the time to do it. and to consider us down the road for grants. And, you know, I think one misconception out there is that they give us loans, and this is not a loan, it's a grant. So before that gets misconstrued out there, it's something that they give to bands, to tribes. So that would have been my take on it. I just, you know, I just think that that whatever it cost us, Kim, to the cuts we had to make, was that 700,000? The last round we did? Okay, that's a number that sticks out in my mind, is the last time we had to cut, and we cut a lot of controversial stuff that you know, people are upset about now. But it was 700,000, I believe, is the number in some. And you know, and we're trying to take care of the employees this time, to reassure them. And now, you know, we're already 900,000 behind the 8 ball to start the year, plus the 2.6 that we need. So.
Don? We will get the 900,000 because Fortune Bay has not paid us this year at all. And that's, we would have had the money, but we had to use the contract support cost from the Bureau of Indian Affairs reimbursement to us that was settled in a case, federal case. So we had the $900,000, but because Fortune Bay did not make their distributions this year, which we told them not to, because they needed to make improvements and get things in order, we had the money. But we had to use that to operate on this year because of Fortune Bay not paying. The other flip side of this is that this tribal court project will also bring jobs and employment to band members in the construction field. So there's a flip side to it too. It will have employment for our people. And the goal is to have it in case by fall, winter, so it can have the renovations done inside to the existing court, and then fix the roof and work on it during the winter. So it will have some employment benefits for some of our tribal members. And I don't know of any other projects that we're working on this summer other than this, ending with the tax credit 3 for our tribal members. So. But I understand everybody's opinions here and appreciate the conversation. Well, yes, the other day how many band members? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's some things that are going on that shouldn't be. Don, yesterday or the other day, we did make a recommendation that we go with a contractor at risk, where the contractor is working with the architect or whoever to, kind of like the tax credit 3 project was done. I know that, how many band members are working with the tax credit 3 project right now? 15. It's still a possibility that those 15 could be working or more on the court project. We don't know that yet, but it's a possibility. Hopefully.
So, you know, to finish that up and is, you know, about the band member jobs, and, you know, that's all fine and dandy if we support the contractors that hire, you know, 100% band members. Lately, we kind of, you know, the people that are going to be in charge of this project, you know, seem to be, you know, not fighting, but be kind of against the one of the businesses that is 100% band members. So we got to be careful there. If we're going to make a statement like that, we have to back up the band member business that hires 100% band member.
No other questions or comments? Motion to adjourn. Ray, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.